From tomorrow, I'm going to start a session which is SAP Business Planning and Consolidation version for NetWeaver, which is also called as standard, BPC standard. What I'm going to cover in this BPC standard that we are going to discuss now, I'm going to cover complete lifecycle implementation, planning and consolidation both. Planning implementation, BPC planning implementation like sales planning, COGM planning, production planning, manpower planning, capital expenditure planning, balance sheet planning, cash flow planning, etc. We also discuss how to implement consolidation project. We also discuss product capability of consolidation. What we can do using this particular consolidation engine. We can configure business rules. We can configure data loading part from ECC to BW, BW to BPC. So we are going to cover planning and consolidation both in this particular complete life cycle implementation. So we'll discuss the course content, what I'm going to cover. Then we'll discuss what architecture I'm going to use. Then we'll have this session is open for question and answers. Whenever you want, you can ask questions. No need to wait. So let's understand the course content first. Right. The first thing, we'll start with planning. What I'm going to cover in the planning. I'm going to explain in the project preparation phase. When you start a project, first phase is project preparation. In the project preparation, what we are going to do as a solution architect, as a consultant, as a technical consultant. We are going to discuss high-level scope and infrastructure, how it looks like. We are going to discuss how the resource planning happens for this particular BPC planning project. Now, we are going to discuss BPC development server setup. How we will inform the basis to install the BPC development. And also at this time, if hardware is not there, you have to plan for, the basis has to plan for the hardware also, for BPC hardware. The next thing is requirement gathering for planning scenarios. Now, based on the scope of work, scope discussion, high level scope discussion, you understand what you have to implement there at your client place. You have to list out all those scenarios, planning scenarios which you are going to implement. Why you have to list out? Because these planning scenarios are dependent on your customer industry, right? If your customer is a manufacturing industry or pharma industry, they have these following scenarios. That means capacity planning, raw material purchase planning, cost of goods sold manufactured, or cost of goods manufactured planning. These three, all right, these three will be there if that is a manufacturing industry or pharma industry kind of stuff. If that is a service industry, these three will not be there. These three planning scenarios will not be there. So you have to list out which planning scenarios they want to implement based on their business. So here I'm taking one common scenario which can be applicable for any industry. However, to cover more scenarios, I am following one manufacturing industry. or pharma industry. So this can be implemented in the manufacturing and pharma industry, and it is also once you complete these scenarios, you can also implement oil and gas, telecom, and all these industries. You will be a full-fledged BPC consultant. Now, I'm going to cover sales planning, how much we are going to sell, or what is the target for my representatives, sales representatives, right? How much I have to sell. We will do using sales planning for the next year, for the next month. What are the versions we need? All those versions will implement for the sales planning. Capacity planning, how much I can produce, and in which plant I'm going to produce. Whether my capacity is enough to achieve my sales production. Correct? Raw material purchase planning. So, how much raw material required to produce all my demand or supply related products. Cost of goods manufactured planning. To produce one unit, what is the cost? Based on the raw materials, based on the component materials, based on the uh, packaging materials, we have to calculate this. Headcount and manpower cost planning. What is my existing headcount? What is the existing headcount cost in the future? Because this year I am paying 100, next year I am not going to pay 100, I am going to give some hike. Right? What is my next year manpower cost? There are some vacant positions. I am going to fill that vacant positions in the next year. What is the cost involved for that vacant positions? That we are going to do headcount and manpower cost planning. So new headcount planning, existing headcount planning. Other expenses planning. So the expenses like overhead expenses you can say. Indirect expenses you can say. Rent expenses, travel expenses, learning and development expenses. These kind of expenses are part of this particular other expenses plan. Capital expenditure planning. In future, you are going to buy some assets. In future, you can also plan for a project. When you plan a new project, what are the phases in that particular project? For what is the cost of each phase? What is the capital outlay for that project? When I can expect revenue from that project? That we are going to discuss using capital expenditure plan. When you are buying an asset, how you are paying the money when you are buying that particular asset, installation date. How much you are going to pay for that asset, when you are going to pay for that asset. What is the depreciation for that asset? What is the accumulated depreciation for that asset? That we are going to discuss in the capital expenditure plan. Integrated profit and loss statement. So now, ultimately, I am doing all these planning scenarios to achieve a profit and loss statement, to generate a profit and loss statement. How my profit and loss gets plan data from sales plan. How my profit and loss gets data from COGM. How my profit and loss gets data from other expenses. So you have to plan all these sales capacity, raw material, cost of goods sold, and you have to transfer these planning data as per P&L accounts to the P&L statement. Some of these goes to P&L accounts, some of these planning scenarios data goes to balance sheet. Once you have to write some logics, right? Some developments. You have to do some script logic. You can say to transfer to or to prepare integrated profit and loss statement. Balance sheet planning based on your balance sheet account movements. In order to find your balance sheet account movements, we can say like that. You have to do the balance sheet plan. Because once you find the balance sheet figures, planned figures, then only you can derive the cash flow from the balance sheet movements. What is my account receivable in the future? How can I understand? There is a calculation based on days sales outstanding. How much I'm going to pay to my vendor based on my accounts payable. It is based on my raw material purchase details. This is based on my days payable outstanding. So we have some calculations. Based on the calculation, we have to derive this balance sheet plan. What are the calculations required for this balance sheet plan? How to derive this balance sheet that we are going to discuss. Cash flow planning. How the balance sheet movements are transferred to cash flow. How account values are aggregated, different account values are aggregated and shown as a cash flow item. Whether we are going to derive direct cash flow or indirect cash flow. If direct cash flow is not possible, why direct cash flow is not possible? What are the movements required to derive this particular cash flow? These things we are going to discuss, or we are going to, as part of requirement gathering, we are going to ask so many questions to the client, and we are going to prepare solution for these requirements. So now, once your requirement gathering is over, what you are going to do? You are going to prepare a blueprint based on the requirements, based on the planning scenarios. What are the major parts you are going to cover in the blueprint? In the blueprint, we always insist or we always supposed to cover to be solution. How you are going to do this particular sales planning, how you are going to do the capacity planning, etc. in the BPC product. The to be solution to be added in the business blueprint preparation. So based on the discussion with customer, we have to discuss, we have to add version design. So how many versions they have? Let's say forecast plan, next 5 years plan. So you have to decide, you have to design the versions. You have to design the models. So how many models required for sales? How many models required for capacity? How many models required for raw material? Or for all this capacity, raw material, cost of goods sold or manufactured needs only one model. So you have to design the models. You have to document those models. What are the dimensions you are going to use for this planning solution? When you are talking about sales planning, product dimension is required, customer dimension is required or not? So based on the solution, product dimension is required. When you are talking about production planning like capacity, raw material, cost of goods sold, finished product is important, component material is important. When you are talking about headcount planning, which objects you are going to consider, employee, position or only position? When you are talking about capital expenditure planning, whether projects are created in BPC, which dimension required for the projects? If we are talking about other expenses, then you need cost center, cost elements. So based on, you have to design your solution based on the requirements taken from the customer. At this stage, you should, if you have good product knowledge, yeah, if you have good understanding, if you understand their requirement based on the discussions with them, you can easily, you can provide the solution for the business blueprint. Not easily. It takes time to provide the solution. If it is your first project, it will be difficult to give a solution. But if you complete one project, you can give the solution. Now, data integration design. Data integration design in the sense how these scenarios are integrated. Yeah, that design we are going to discuss. We are going to add it in the blueprint. Authorization design, so security related stuff. Locking mechanism, so how you are going to lock the data once it is approved, once the plan data is approved, how you are going to lock that particular plan data, that we are going to discuss, which is we are going to add in the blueprint. It's a work status, we call it as workflow BPF design. So the performer plans the data, the reviewer approves the data. So for each planning scenario, who are all the performers, who are all the reviewers, that we have to document. Sometimes it is like optional, you can say, right? In the blueprint, adding in the detailed design, adding in the blueprint is optional. Yeah. Reports and input schedules design. So what are the reports you are going to provide for these planning scenarios? What are the input schedules you are going to provide for this planning scenario? That should be added in the blueprint. Now, once your design is completed, blueprint design is completed, your to-be solution is completed, blueprint is signed off, then we are going to discuss realization. Yeah, we are going to create one of the scenario in the system. We are going to discuss solution for entire scenarios, but we are going to execute only one scenario in the system. Hands-on will be on one planning scenario. So we are going to create environment models, dimensions, properties in the system. We are going to develop BPC staging layer in BW. So basically, when you talk about BPC, it is integration of ECC, BW, and BPC. The actual data always comes from ECC to BW, BW to BPC. So once the data comes from ECC to BW, you can change the data as per BPC understandable format or as per BPC requirement, and you can create a BPC staging layer in BW itself. How to create that BPC staging layer? How to design that BPC staging layer? That I will show you. I will create in the system. Master data loading from BW to BPC. Company code data, cost center data, profit center data, product data, component material data, asset classes, right? So the master data loading from BW to BPC, we are going to discuss how to load, how to create transformation files, how to create conversion files, how to execute data manager packages, these things. Transaction data loading from BW to BPC. Where is the sales transaction data? From that, we have to load it to BPC. Where is the expenses data? We have to load that expenses data from BW to BPC. We have to find which info cube. We have to create a staging. We have to find which manpower data we have to load. If you have non-SAP systems, let's say some company codes are in ECC, some company codes are not in ECC. So for the non-SAP systems, how to load the actual data? You can use file system. So how to load data from flat files we are going to discuss. We are going to create some input schedules, reports in the system. We are going to execute script logics required for the calculations. In the sales planning, I have some calculations. COGM, I have some calculations. So in order to execute some calculations, how to create the script logic, how to enable the script logic. We are going to discuss about baddies, business add-ins, If some functionality you are not able to execute with script logic, how baddie functionality of BPC can be used? How to fill the gap with baddies? So this ABAP coding will be written, the person who knows ABAP. So it is not mandatory for a BPC consultant to know ABAP. Right? If you are functionally good, then ABAP is not required. That is separate role actually. So BPC functional consultant, BPC technical consultant, and also solution architect. Business process flows configuration, web reports configuration, and once we configure the things, we have to do the unit testing. Every scenario you create and execute the unit test, how the test script is prepared, how the user acceptance test script is prepared. Final preparation, I'm going to explain how to transport whatever developed objects, how to transport to quality system, from quality to production, how basis is going to transport. Once you transport to production, you have to understand how the master data, whether master data is available or not. You have to load production master data to BPC. You have to check all the configurations are working or not. You have to perform some cutover activities, transaction data loading, process instance creation, kind of stuff. So once one smoke test, like let's say 1 or 2 records you can add, you can post in the production. You can check whether it is good or not, right? Small amounts you can post, then later you can just make it 0, not a problem. So go live support. So after implementation, after go live, how many months or how many weeks go live you plan, go live support you plan, whether online support is planned, remote support is planned, how to plan online support, how to plan remote support, that we are going to. This is all planning side we are going to discuss. What about consolidation? Legal consolidation, management consolidation, right? So we are going to cover management consolidation, right? So in the as part of management consolidation, I'm going to explain. Okay, that we'll discuss when we start the session. Yeah, management consolidation. We are going to discuss something called US eliminations. So you keep it aside, that management consolidation. So now legal consolidation is important. That is the major portion of BPC. BPC planning and consolidation means that consolidation is nothing but legal consolidation. So this is consolidation, the second sheet. So I just write legal consolidation. Project preparation, the same thing. So we have to understand high level scope and infrastructure, resource planning, BPC data development server. So high level scope discussions, we have to understand what are the accounting principles they have, what are the ledgers they have, whether they want to implement IFRS or local GAAP, US GAAP, which GAAP they want to implement. These things you have to understand with high level scope. As part of requirement gathering for consolidation, how you are going to collect data for this particular consolidation. Consolidation is basically consolidating lot of entities. You might have different entities, 60, 70 entities. They might be using different chart of accounts. They might be using different currencies. You have to collect all this data from to the BPC system. You have to gather requirement ownership structure. So how many entities are there? What is the ownership percentage of holding in that? So how many companies are subsidiaries? How many companies are equity, joint ventures? That to be discussed in the ownership structure. Currency translation. You might have different entities, different currencies. How to convert, so how they are converting their accounts into one group currency. So here we are going to, as part of requirement gathering, data collection, what are the sources we are going to find? Whether all are in ECC, non-SAP systems also there. We are going to gather the requirement for whether we are going to, what type of consolidations they are going to use for their ownership structure, full consolidation or equity consolidation. Here we are going to gather how they are going to convert their balance sheet accounts, how they are going to convert their P&L accounts to group currency. That logic we are going to discuss. And data reclassification. If they have any reclassification entries, what are those reclassification entries? How they are doing, how they are posting now, how they want to post it in the future, or how BPC can give a facility to achieve this data reclassification. Journal template design. After consolidation or before consolidation, probably after consolidation, what are the adjustments my customer is going to do? We are going to discuss, we are going to gather requirement, what are the eliminations and adjustments they are doing. Whether my customer is doing intercompany payables, receivables eliminations, whether they are capturing trading partner, intercompany, how they are eliminating their particular intercompany balances, payables, receivables, it may be rent received, rent paid to particular companies, intercompanies, dividend received, dividend paid, these things. Also, we are going in the, as part of elimination adjustments, you have to understand if there are subsidiaries, how you are going to calculate the minority interest, how they are calculating the minority interest, how they are calculating consolidation of investment eliminations. Once the eliminations adjustments requirement is gathered, now you have to understand how their financial statements looks like, how their financial position report is looks like, how their income statement looks like consolidated. And also you have to prepare the what are the groupings required for the cash flow, how the cash flow is derived for the consolidation. That requirement you have to gather. Once you gather the requirement, you have to blueprint or you have to prepare a solution for this particular requirement, whatever consolidation requirement. Version design, it is only actual version, so you can remove this particular area. Sometimes the customer might say, I want legal consolidation plus I want to consolidate the plan data, planning consolidation. At that time, you will have two versions, actual versus budget. Model design. So 3 models we are going to, you have to implement for consolidation, minimum, consolidation, ownership and rates model. So that design you have to keep it. Dimension properties design. So dimensions and properties are very much required for BPC consolidation, account dimension, entity dimension, properties. So consolidation properties are very important. So that properties design also we have to understand and we have to keep it here. Data integration design, when I say data integration design here, how the data is flowing from ECC to BW, BW to BPC. Business rules design. So when I say business rules, this eliminations and adjustments is a business rule. Currency translation is a business rule. Data reclassification is a business rule. So what are the business rules we are going to develop? What are the source and targets of these business rules we are going to mention here? Authorization design, locking mechanism, workflow reports. We already discussed in the planning. Same concept. Same authorization concept is same like planning only. Locking work status, locking the data is same like planning only. Workflow design is same like planning only. Report design is same like planning only. So in the realization, till here, like environment, BPC staging, master data, transaction data loading from flat files, all these are same like BPC planning. Same, the technicality is same product, right? Now, after once you load the data, you have to reconcile the data. How to reconcile the data? How to configure reclassification business rules, how to configure balance carry forward business rule, how to configure currency translation business rule, or we are going to configure reclassification business rule, balance carry forward business rule, currency translation business rule, intercompany elimination business rule, authorization developments, work status development we will do, BPF development we will do, we will create legal reports, we will create cash flow statement, we will test the scenario whether currency translation is working, whether opening balance carry forward is working or not correctly. Yeah, intercompany eliminations are working or not, right? Also, we have to configure something here. Here, eliminations and adjustments. There is one more business rule, very important business rule. This should be configured. Actually, intercompany elimination is part of that only. Also, you have to configure rule-based multipliers. So all these things we are going to discuss. Then the final preparation, the same thing, the transporting of environment, master data check, transport check, close configuration, cutover activities. Cutover activities here will be loading data for transaction data from ECC to BPC. Also that process instance creation, smoke test. Yeah, you can run for some particular month and you can delete the data, or you can give a chance to user. You can resolve the issues whatever when they are doing the smoke test. What are the errors they are getting or we are getting? We can complete it in the production itself. So on-site support, report support, remote support. So these are the things I'm going to cover in as part of legal consolidation. Also, I will discuss management consolidation. Management consolidation is basically based on some US elimination rules, business rules. So we are going to configure this US elimination business rule, and we are going to discuss what is management consolidation. How the, let's say if your management want consolidation, internal consolidation, all those entities or profit centers internal consolidation, how to do that. That management consolidation we are going to discuss. There are some particular functionalities for consolidation, let's say validations. Validations are basically whether your assets are matching with liabilities after consolidation, before consolidation, whether your retained earnings are matching with your net income or not, whether your depreciation is matching with the accumulated depreciation or not. These type of validations you can do, that we are going to discuss. So I am going to explain how the consolidation monitor can be used, how the controls monitor can be used. Controls are nothing but validations. These things we are going to discuss. So the next thing, once now we understand the course content, what I'm going to cover. What is the architecture of BPC standard? Because we should understand what is the architecture now only, so that tomorrow there will not be any confusion. Remember, we are doing BPC standard. BPC standard always installed on top of BW system. You might have multiple sources. You might have ECC, non-SAP systems, multiple sources. So the actual data basically loaded from the source system to BW system. From the BW system, the actual data loaded to BPC, master and transaction data. So this actual transaction data stored in info providers. Actual master data is stored in info objects like info object like characteristics. Actual transaction data in BPC stored in models. Actual master data, for master data, there is no actual or planned. So master data will be stored in dimensions. There are some web front ends, EPM add-in. There is EPM add-in, which is called front end for BPC. Using this EPM add-in, I can create reports, input schedules. I can use EPM add-in has again 3 Microsoft tools. If you see Excel, Word, and PowerPoint, those are integrated in EPM add-in. So you can create a report using Excel, using Word, using PowerPoint. When you have to use Excel, when you have to use Word, when you have to use the PowerPoint. This is the question I will answer in the sessions. Web reports, input forms. So there are you can create some web reports and input forms using BPC web functionality that we are going to discuss. So if the this is the architecture of BPC standard. So this ECC can be on HANA, right? ECC on HANA or any DB. BW can be on HANA and any DB. BPC should be on BW. So this is what we are going to cover as part of this course. This is the technical architecture of the course. Now I am done. Any questions from your side? You can unmute yourself. Yeah, Maksud.
Yeah, so going for the BPC, business planning and consolidation. So the company, any company which want to go for this module, is it compulsory that they should be using ECC, or we can do it for any database? Like if, for example, any company is using say Oracle Finance, now they want to just move it to the BPC. So first do we need to transfer all the data of the Oracle Finance first into ECC, then we should be going for the business planning and consolidation?
So this is the scenario. Let's say they don't have ECC, they are using Oracle Financials, right? So when I say Oracle Financials, I can say this is as a OLTP system, correct? That they are using it for transactional postings. So this Oracle Financials should be migrated. The data should be migrated to, first they have to implement ECC, they have to migrate to ECC, correct? From there, the same process.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
So the base should be that the data first need to be moved to the ECC, then from there it should be moved to say what you
No,
say
no.
to the BW, then to.
Okay. See, another. So if that is the case, see the two things. I'm confused here. Sorry for that. I thought like they are going to scrap Oracle Financials and they are going to use ECC. Right.
Yeah.
That's where I answered. No. If that is the case, they have ECC. They have non-SAP system as Oracle Financials. Correct. This is what
Yeah.
you are saying. Correct. So this actual data can be loaded to BW from the. So BW can have a connection with Oracle Financial, or they can you can have some flat file loading from Oracle Financials to this particular BW. From BW it will take, or you can take directly if it is consolidation from Oracle Financials. You can ask any trial balance with a flat file. You can directly load it to BPC if BW consultants if BW solution is not workable. Yeah.
So it's not compulsory that or they should have the ECC system in place for them. It's not compulsory. We can now just move the data directly from say
Oracle
Oracle Finance. Okay.
BW. Yeah. Any other questions from other participants? Okay. So We are having a session tomorrow. Next session tomorrow we have. Next session tomorrow with the same meeting request. Right, with the same meeting request. So we will have. I am flexible. We'll have weekend sessions. Saturday in India, US, US Friday, Saturday. I think Friday and Saturday. India, Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, we'll have the session, and I will share the course materials, templates, what I have used for this particular implementations, consolidation and planning. It is basically takes minimum 40 hours, 40 hours session, and yeah, you will get a you have to get a server for your practice. There are some server vendors, they can help you. I can also suggest you some vendors, you can take access from them and you can use for practice. Yeah, if you stuck anywhere, I can help you in your practice. You can call me or you can message me. I will respond to your. Okay then, thank you.
On S/4HANA system. The arrangement was ECC on one box, then BW on another, and BPC on the third boxes. So how it is happening now in S/4HANA?
S/4HANA, okay. See, basically, when I use BPC standard, right, my ECC system can be on HANA or it can be on any other database. I can use the same flow what I am using here. This is one way. Or I'm just muting you. Some disturbance is coming somehow. So or you can do like this. So basically when you use S/4HANA, this is entire S/4HANA box, let's say. This S/4HANA box, you have applications, all the applications. So let's say my ECC application here. ECC applications. And also the BW comes inside it, right? I can have embedded BW. Embedded BW. Right? So in this embedded BW itself, I can install BPC standard component. Standard components. And I can implement some of the scenarios using BPC standard, some of the scenarios using IBPF, integrated business plan, right? So it is all S/4HANA. Within that only BW is coming, correct? This is one scenario for S/4HANA. Sometimes you might have two S/4HANA systems, two S/4HANA ECC systems. Then you have to follow this process. So S/4HANA ECC, S/4HANA ECC2, from there you load data to BW, from BW you load it to BPC for consolidation. These are the possible two solutions if you use S/4HANA. Any other questions?
Another question, related question rather, is how do I know whether BPC is already installed in my S/4HANA system? Whether BPC or BW is already installed or not.
Right. So you have to go there in ECC system itself, right? If you go to system details, there are some components. So you have to list out for BPC standards what components are required, for BW what components are required, whether those components are installed or not, you can check it there. Yeah? Any other questions?
Hi Kiran, Kamal here.
Hi, Kamal. Yeah.
Hi. See, it's about course content point of view which I'm trying to ask. I see that it is a standard one. I see that BPC 10.01 standard point of view. You have a separate course and kind of other embedded point of view. You have a separate course.
Correct.
Is I was thinking both will be covered in the same thing. I'm sorry for if I'm
See,
making a
basically,
confusion.
the thing is, BPC standard is entirely different when you compare with BPC embedded. There is no comparison between these two. So these are the two products to implement the planning. So the same scenarios, whatever I'm going to discuss, functionality is same. The same thing can be implemented using BPC standard, and same thing can be implemented using BPC embedded with S/4HANA or any other system. Yeah. So the configuration is entirely different, both the products.
Okay, so basically, we cannot merge both of them. That's what you're trying to tell me. Okay, understood. Understood. If it is okay, may I know when can I go for the next one?
Which one? PPC. This one is tomorrow onwards. I'm starting. I already sent the meeting request.
True. I was thinking about embedded. I'm sorry if I'm asking.
Yeah. Embedded, I will send the meeting request after some time. Once I stabilize
Okay.
this session, then I will send embedded.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Right. So please send an email to me so that I will add it to you, add it your ID in my distribution list. Thank you. Have a nice day. Good night.